Chelsea against Brighton and Hove Albion. The Blues host the Seagulls in their chase of a first home win in the Premier League this season, as Frank Lampard provides some very, very interesting injury updates, while stating that Fikayo Tomori is now Chelsea's number 1 or 2 centre-back. Hello there guys, and welcome back to Blues TV for another preview of mine on this channel, as I preview the game between Chelsea and Brighton as we go into our 4th successive Premier League home game. And I'm slightly confused by that. Like, all week I was just, having this Brighton game in my head as an away game. But out of nowhere yesterday I realised, oh, it's another home game. Not 100% sure why that is the case, but I'm most certainly looking forward to it because it finally gives us, well, I say finally, it just gives us another chance to finally get that first Premier League home win of the season, because it's quite bad that we're in late September now and we still haven't won at home. Now, like, obviously in the league that is. I mean, if we don't win tomorrow, then we won't have won a home game in August and September. That would be a bit of an issue. So let's win the game tomorrow. And of course, if you are new to Blues TV, please be sure to subscribe. That would be massively appreciated. Of course, also be sure to click the notification bell button and choose to be notified about all uploads so you don't miss any of our future content and our future uploads. And also, if you want to, drop a like on this video, that'd be massively appreciated. You're watching this already anyway, so might as well drop a like. I would honestly massively appreciate it, and it doesn't really cost you much time, and especially it doesn't cost you any money. But now, let's just get into the preview and starting it off by speaking about our opposition. And that, of course, is Brighton and Hove Albion. And, just a couple of things about them. They're currently sitting 15th in the table on 6 points from 6 games, with 1 win, 3 draws and 2 defeats, and a goal difference of -3, scoring 5, but also conceding 8 thus far this season. And to me, they're a bit of a strange team, really. I mean, they finished 17th, last season, 2 points from relegation. Then they sacked their long-term manager, Chris Hughton, signed a couple of decent players, like Aaron Moy, for example, from Huddersfield, but now they don't seem to be in all too much of a different situation or position, at least. Bar their opening day 3-0 win over Watford, who, as we all know, are really struggling so far this season, except against Arsenal, obviously. Brighton's results haven't been great, at all. I mean, yeah, okay, an acceptable draw with West Ham, but defeats to Southampton, okay, understandably so, Man City, but that alongside draws against Burnley and Newcastle doesn't really come across that significantly improved compared to last season. Plus, in midweek, they also, while doing a lot of rotation, but still they were knocked out of the Carabao Cup with a 3-1 defeat at home against Aston Villa. So it's not, performance-wise, results-wise, it's not going that great. But saying all of that, in those draws, their stats and highlights, at least, because I couldn't watch all of their games, say that they were the better team in, like I say, all of those draws by quite some margin as well. I mean, even when they were beat 2-0 by Southampton, they seem to at least have been even. So, maybe it's a little bit of a story like for us this season when we were kind of better than our points tally says. Maybe it just is a little bit like that for them as well. It's difficult to tell when you can't watch their full games, but stats and highlights, they do tell you a pretty large amount of the story, I guess, of each game. And they definitely don't seem to have been as bad as the table might suggest. But putting the ball into the net really does seem to be a bit of an issue for them, because at least against their opponents so far, they've pretty much always created loads of chances, literally loads of chances. Not always necessarily huge chances, big chances with the whole expected goal stat, but still, they did have plenty of chances, but just haven't, taken them, I guess. Tactics and formation-wise, so far this season at least, they have always lined up in some sort of a 3-at-the-back system, or 5-at-the-back, whichever you want to call it, really. 3-4-3, 3-5-2, or even a 3-4-1-2. And whether that will have an effect on how Lampard sets Chelsea up tomorrow, I'll talk about that in a bit. And the last couple of things about Brighton really is they also face a couple of injury doubts as well, especially up front. There's both the new signing, Neil Maupay, who with 2 goals so far is their top scorer, as well as, of course, Glenn Murray. He's also out injured, it seems, plus quite a few others as well. And just generally about Brighton quickly, they do like to have the ball. I mean, we can't underestimate that. Even away at Man City, okay, they lost 4-0 in the end, but even away at the Etihad, they had 46% of the ball in the end, and they did create a couple of, at least a handful of chances themselves as well. So no matter where they go, they will try to do their thing, and, we have to be a little bit wary. So while their form and conversion rate really isn't the best, definitely do not underestimate them. It will be a tough game, but of course, Chelsea should be capable of finally getting that first home win in the league this season. And now, getting to Frank Lampard's pre-match press conference, which today was actually quite an interesting one. And to be honest, let's just get straight into it. And of course, it started off with team news and injury news, which is always the most interesting bit about all these press conferences. Now, first of all, Antonio Rudiger is still out with a recurring, groin injury. Lampard said that he's hopeful that he won't be out for too long, but he can't give a date at all as to when we can expect him to be back. He did actually say Andreas Christensen, who of course had to come off against Liverpool, is actually, fine and is back in training, and he did train with the rest of the team today. Lampard did say he did still feel a little bit of pain, but he doesn't think it's a risk, and confirmed that Christensen will be in the squad tomorrow. Not whether he'll start or anything, of course, but he will be part of the squad, so he is fine now, which of course is good. Same goes for Olivier Giroud, who wasn't injured or anything, or wasn't just left out. He was actually ill for the Liverpool game and for the midweek game against Grimsby, hence why he wasn't in the squad either time. A couple of people that are still out injured are Emerson, with the hamstring problem. He is out until after the next international break. And also there's some minor updates, I guess, on Ruben Loftus-Cheek, because Lampard said that he has now progressed to slow jogging outside, which of course is great news, because that just means he's getting closer and closer to returning to full training and then play, which of course is great. And then Lampard also said that both Reece James and Hudson-Odoi will be in the squad tomorrow. Of course, again, didn't say whether they would start or just be on the bench. Most likely be on the bench, let's be honest now. But Lamps did say that he will have to be a little bit careful with especially Hudson-Odoi, because you just have to be after such a long-term injury. But it sure did sound like, Hudson-Odoi is kind of likely at least to come off the bench, and that would of course be interesting and good to see. Give us a little bit something different off the bench, I guess, but it's just great. I know, of course, they played against Grimsby and they both started and both played the full 90 minutes, but still 3 days later, they're all ready to be in the squad, part of the squad in the Premier League game. So, I'm just looking forward to it. It's going to be great. And then towards the end, but while just talking about the youth and about, the youth generally in football and in the Premier League and stuff, he also just kind of stated on the slide that Fikayo Tomori is now number 1 or number 2, I guess, one of the two, he said, in the pecking order of the centre-backs. Like, it just shows how good Fikayo Tomori has been, but it's unbelievable. Like, he's been great ever since he's come into the team, and Frank Lampard seems to rate that. I'm slightly surprised that he would have said so openly that he's number 1 or 2 in the pecking order, so fair play, but you can't disagree with it with Tomori's recent performance, especially against Liverpool, of course. And, really, you have to be happy. But to be honest, that was it from the press conference. He did say a couple of things about Pulisic, but just the general things. Oh, it's a new league. It's a new way of living. It's a new club. And we can't, ignore the price tag. He's still only 21. We have to give him time. We all know that. Like, if you're a somewhat smart Chelsea fan, you know that you can't expect Pulisic, just because he cost a lot of money, to be the next Eden Hazard right away. It will take him a little bit of time. But of course, we still do expect a little bit better from him than we got against Grimsby. Now, coming to Chelsea, and, lineup-wise, I don't think there's actually that many question marks, this week. But because, like I said earlier already, Brighton do use the 3 at the back system, the real kind of question mark for the game tomorrow is whether we go with a 3 at the back, especially if Christensen is fit. If he isn't, we can't really play 3 at the back anyway, because I don't think Gueye will start, and I don't think Reece James will either. Hence, Aspi can't move back into right back, and don't even connect me with crazy things like Pedro at right wing back. It's a nice idea in that, but I just cannot see it happening. I just cannot see Frank Lampard starting with something like that. And it is a big question mark. Even if Christensen is completely fit, I'm not 100% sure what Lampard will do, to be honest. I mean, had we only used it against Wolves, who of course use the 3 at the back system themselves, I'd be pretty confident that we'll use it again tomorrow. But because he also used it against Valencia, and then at the same time didn't use it against Liverpool when Alonso had to come on for Emerson, hence why the whole explanation of, okay, you only used it because Alonso played, all of those explanations are kind of out the window now. So he used it against the 3 at the back team, but he also used it against Valencia. Then we thought, okay, maybe it's just because Alonso. Then Alonso has to come on against Liverpool, and we don't change to a 3 at the back, which, wouldn't have been ideal, of course, I get that, but it would have been somewhat possible. And at the same time, Alonso had a decent enough game against Liverpool. I didn't think it was awful at all. So, to be honest, I just have absolutely no idea. I don't know which one is the more likely. I personally prefer 4-3-3. You might know that. But I will go through that now because I prefer it, and then I will also mention who I go with in a 3-4-3 formation, because if we go 3 at the back, it will be a 3-4-3. And to be honest, it's not that complicated, because it's just kind of the same team that played against Liverpool once Alonso was on for Emerson. Kepa, of course, in goal, a centre-back, partnership of, if Christensen is not at 100%, it will still, have to be Fikayo Tomori and Kurt Zouma. In the 4 at the back, if Christensen is not 100%, I would personally not start him, even if he's ready, basically, but just be safe. It was a little bit of a knee problem, and I don't want something that we had with Emerson last week happen again, that he plays 20 minutes and then has to come off again and is out more long-term. So I don't want that happening. So if we go 4 at the back, which is also a reason why I would, again, lean towards the 4 at the back more, because I don't want to risk Christensen. We only have 2 centre-backs as it is right now. So, I wouldn't do that. So like I say, Tomori and Zouma in there in the 4 at the back. Of course, the full-backs have to be Azpilicueta and Alonso. No one else there, because I still don't see Reece James starting again already. Just played 90 minutes. His first 90 minutes after 5 months. He's not going to start again after 3 days. It's just not going to happen, really. Then coming to the midfield 3, I mean, like I say, it's the same lineup that played against Liverpool. So Jorginho, Cancedo is right, and Kovacic to his left. Personally, I would actually like for Mason Mount to be dropped back into the midfield 3, because I think he personally can shine more there. But Hudson-Odoi isn't going to start again, similar to Reece James. And, you know, Christian Pulisic neither was great against Grimsby, nor was Frank Lampard very happy with him. And I just don't ever want to see Willian and Pedro be our two wingers again. So, you know, with that in mind, it just has to be Mason Mount at left wing and Willian at right wing. I mean, personally, I wouldn't mind Pulisic and Willian starting with Mount in the midfield, but I get why Lampard wouldn't do that, especially after, you know, the things he said post-game against Grimsby, that in the first half especially, but generally in the game, the wingers, both Pulisic and Alzado, didn't really do as they were told. They were meant to be getting behind and get in the box and try to score goals that way, and that rarely happened. In the second half, it happened more so on Hudson-Odoi's side. To be fair, it also opened up a bit more on that side, but, you know, neither of them really did it enough, like I say, especially in the first half. So with that in mind, I would be slightly surprised if Pulisic starts. So probably you know, Mount on the left wing, Willian on the right wing, and then up front, I mean, Tammy has to start again, I guess. It just has to. I mean, of course, Giroud is now back from his illness, and Michy Batshuayi scored twice in midweek. But personally, I would just be shocked if it's not Abraham that starts. But, you know, that is my 4-3-3. You can see it on screen now. And now on the other side, which I think should be over here, we have the 3-4-3 that, of course, I mentioned. Very similar for the most part, of course. I'm just going to put up everything in one go. Christensen would obviously come in as the central centre-back with Tomori and Zuma either side of him. Aspen and Alonso still the wing-backs, of course. Then in midfield, because we'd have to drop someone from the 4-3-3, Kovacic would be the one losing out in the midfield too, in my opinion, while the front three would, of course, stay the same in Mason Mount as the left wing, Willian as the right wing, and Tammy Abraham up front. But, you know, we'll have to wait and see. I gave you my explanations of why I prefer the 4-3-3. Just think it works better. And then, if possible, you know, if necessary, rather, you know, we'll just change in game. You know, have to do what you have to do. In the end, though, we're obviously the favourites, and so we should be. And, you know, the most important things, the crucial things, are going to be that we put our mark on the game. You know, dominate possession, dominate midfield, and no matter the formation or lineup we go with, we have to do that thing. Like, it doesn't matter. You know, whether it's a 4-3-3 or whether it's a 3-4-3, we have to dominate the game and dominate possession. We don't have to, like, you know, crumble in our shells, really, just because Brighton, maybe to some players slightly surprisingly, will try to come at us, basically. Well, of course, we also have to be wary of their counter-attacks, especially in three-at-the-back formations. Counter-attacking can always be a very dangerous, you know, play for the opponent. But alongside that, the most important thing is to have loads and loads of movement, which we, again, haven't had in our recent games. I mentioned the whole, you know, Lampard not being happy with the movements of the wingers, and generally, we just need more movement. In midfield, I mean, the more movement there is, the easier we're going to find it to move through the lines and to move up the field, and then to create good chances. That's just how it works. The quicker you pass the ball around, you know, the better and easier you're going to find everything. But you can't pass the ball around quickly if you don't have enough movement. It's just as simple as that. Now, overall, in my kind of score prediction, getting into that, a clean sheet would be nice. And Brighton haven't exactly scored a lot, but frankly, I still don't see it happening, to be honest. I still don't see us getting a clean sheet. So I reckon it will be a close game, closer than some might expect. And my score prediction is going to be a 2-1 win, or maybe a 3-1 win to the Blues. I think we will get that first Premier League home win of the season, which, you know, really is more than due now. But yeah, to be honest, guys, that's really it from me. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I hope you found it informative. I hope you enjoyed it. So yeah, like I said, you know, at the beginning, if you did enjoy the video, please just drop a like. Don't know how I stumbled over my words here, but if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like. You're here anyway. Especially if you watched up until this point, please drop a like. It would be massively appreciated. Be sure to subscribe to Blues TV if you haven't already, and also don't forget to hit the notification bell button and choose to be notified about all uploads so you don't miss any of the future videos. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea. Can't wait for the game tomorrow. Let's get that first home win. And I'll see you when I see you.